Hello, everyone, and thank you very much for joining today's stream, emergency stream. We can say because, as I predicted, and many others, by the way, U.S. and Israel actually went in with the war against Iran. They launched large-scale attacks on Iran. Of course, you already know about it, and in this during this stream, dear friends. Even though I was thinking to take a day off, but it didn't work out, isn't it? During this stream, I will share with you information that is known for now. I give you a statement of Russian Foreign Ministry about it. I will share my personal take. What should we expect from now? And because I was quite often, more often than not, correct in my predictions, including on the matter of war on Iran, literally yesterday in many of my previous updates, but literally in yesterday's updates, I was saying, isn't it, that there is a high probability that US and Israel will attack this weekend, and they did. So I will share my takes also, and simultaneously I will monitor, by the way, media outlets, right, real time, and whenever there is important news, of course, I will add that to stream. I don't know how long I'm going to stay online, but I try my best to make this stream informative and useful. And that's been said, let's go through some news right now without any further delay. Of course, towards the end of the stream, I give you an update on a marathon that I launched there. There is not really much to update there. I will open right now on my Patreon page just to make sure once more that I have latest information. And so, yes, let's go through some news. And Iran launched also retaliatory strikes. I'll give you information about it too. Yes, unfortunately, no updates on the Patreon. Since the launch of Marathon, only new members join our community there, which is unfortunate, of course, but it is what it is. Maybe things will change before end of next week. And so, okay, let's launch our news segment of today's stream. And there also we can do community chat, by the way. If you have any questions, topics that you want to discuss, please use capital letters and I will react on it, or capital Q, so that I will know that this question is directed to me. And I can give you, for example, latest updates from RIA Novosti. RIA Novosti is making updates constantly, of course, news agency, and literally like 2 minutes ago, they posted this information that France has requested an emergency meeting of UN Security Council due to the situation surrounding Iran. UN Human Rights Council condemned the strikes on Iran, calling for restraint and return to negotiations. By the way, death toll as a result of this US-Israeli strike, by the way, school was hit. And according to latest information, 42 children were killed in that school by these Israeli fascists and American fascists, and 48 were injured. Why on earth they struck school? I don't know. Maybe in this school, children or kid of one of the officials were studying, and they just went in and tried to kill everybody. Very much in the style of Israeli and American fascists, of course. Reports are that Israeli Air Force struck hundreds of military targets in western Iran, according to IDF. And, generally speaking, there was, of course, hundreds of launches of missiles, cruise missiles, and other weapon systems. Israeli Air Force is actively operating during this first wave of attacks. Reports are coming in that US and Israel kind of split the roles between each other. Israel went after political, military leadership, religious leadership of Iran, and also after civilians, after children, and they killed already 42 children. That's what Israelis do, by the way. Remember Gaza, right? And Americans were targeting allegedly sites of ballistic missile launchers, military bases, and stuff like that. War criminals are at it again, of course. And I can give you update from Rebar, by the way, Russian think tank, one of the biggest channels actually they have on Russian segment of Telegram. And let's go through some details here what Rebar is reporting. Many members of our community are familiar with this name, of course. So large-scale joint US-Israeli operation began this morning, targeting Iran's leadership and strategical infrastructure. The heaviest strikes hit Tehran, capital of Iran, including Mehrabad International Airport and areas near Milad Tower. Missile strike was reported near the Qom, close to the Fordo uranium enrichment facility. In the south, attacks targeted Bushehr, home to Iran's nuclear power plant. And dear friends, it's Russia that is building Bushehr nuclear power plant. And if there is any casualties among Russian personnel, I hope Russia will literally obliterate and turn into radioactive dust Israel and US, no matter cost. If even a single Russian is harmed during this attack, I hope we will retaliate with all force we have, by the way, with all freaking nuclear weapons to teach these motherfucking animals a lesson. Let's fucking kill them all, man. This world and humanity is sick and tired of these American and Israeli fascists and the Western fascists, generally speaking, man. Fuck them all, really. How long we gonna tolerate this shit, man? Really. It's crazy what is going on. It's fucking crazy, man. So alongside military sites, key uranium processing facilities were reported. And you can imagine hatred towards America and Israel throughout the world, by the way, right? Even inside America, according to reports, some 75% of Americans are against this freaking war, right? And what those 75% are doing? Nothing to stop these freaking genocidal maniacs that are in charge of formerly their country. Do these Americans realize that these crimes against humanity are committed under the name of their country and under their name? This is Americans are killing innocent people. This is Americans with their Israeli masters that are committing numerous war crimes against humanity. And ordinary Americans are responsible for that. Do these people understand this? Or they think they just can, throw everything away, say, no, I was not supporting it. Really? What you were doing to stop this madness? Americans, what you were doing to stop this freaking madness? And your criminal elites? Nothing, right? So day comes for judgment, man. Day is coming. So alongside military sites, key uranium processing facilities were reportedly targeted. Some claims suggest assassination attempts against the senior Iranian officials, including Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, religious leader of Iran, President Masoud Pezeshkian, and these psychopaths, these animals, as American and Israeli animals, went after former president, UN, right, I believe. These psychos, man. Armed Forces Chief Abdurrahim Mossavi was a target also, and other security figures. No deaths have been officially confirmed. Ayatollah Khamenei was reportedly not present in Tehran at the time of this attack. And this is, for example, right now on your screen, you can see aftermath of US-Israeli strike on one of the residences of religious leader of Iran, Ali Khamenei. And, site was quite effectively obliterated, destroyed, clearly, but according to reports, Khamenei was not there. Also, little earlier before I launched this stream, by the way, reports were coming in that the supreme leader of Iran, the president of the republic, the chairman of the Islamic Consultative Assembly, the head of the judiciary, the secretary of the Supreme National Security Council, and the commander-in-chief of the army are in full health. So this Israeli-American attempt to kill these people failed yet again, according to media reports. And Iran retaliated, of course. Iran retaliated, and right now I can give you some of the directions of Iranian retaliation throughout the region. And this is also from media sources, obviously. So there was a strikes on Israel, throughout the Israel, right? Some missiles were intercepted, some don't. Bahrain, military U.S. Fifth Fleet Commander headquarters was targeted in Bahrain, for example, and probably you have already seen videos of these attacks. Al Udeid Air Base was targeted in Qatar. Arfijan Camp, Ahmad Al Jaber Air Base, Mubarak Air Base were targeted in Kuwait. Al Dafra Air Base, Jebel Ali Port, Fallujah Air Base were targeted in United Arab Emirates. Amir Sultan Base in Riyadh, Tabuk Base, Hamis Mushaid Base, and the Western Base in Jeddah was targeted in Saudi Arabia. In Jordan, Muwakaf al-Sulti Air Base was targeted. In Iraq, US base in Erbil was also targeted. By now, there are no reports about death or the injuries among American fascists, right? American animals, but hopefully during these strikes, US military suffered heavy losses. I hope so. I truly hope so, man. Those fascists have to be obliterated, right? And whole world, I'm quite sure, whole world, by the way, now cheering for Iran and hopes that Iran, with their retaliatory steps, will kill as many Israeli fascists and American fascists as they possibly can. Whole world is standing with Iranian people. Whole world, man, right? And if good citizens, truly decent human beings in Israel and the US don't like this, well, those good citizens should ask themselves what they did to make sure that their countries are not behaving like rabid animals. That's a simple, legit question, by the way. What these decent citizens of either Israel or America, and I believe there are many, right? Definitely not the majority. Majority is a brainwashed fascist, right? But there are decent human beings for sure in Israel and America and throughout the Western world. And I have one simple question: what they did actually to make sure that their freaking countries are not behaving in this world as a rabid animals? Anything? Anything? Some probably did try something. Some, 1, 2, 10, 20, maybe 100. But what is the 100 voices on a background of 350 million brainwashed fascist Americans, man? Or there, I don't know how many fascist Israelis are in Israel. Majority, of course, are fucking fascists, man. Ah, man. I don't know how humanity gonna get rid of these animals, man. But we have to do something about it, really. And I'm telling you, I'm absolutely on side of humanity today, and always. And we all are full of hatred towards these fascist animals, American and Israeli fascist animals, man. That's it. No political correctness, no nothing. Fuck them all, right? Just fuck them all, man. These animals, disgusting garbage and human scum. Yeah, I'm angry, and expressing my feelings openly. I'm not playing no freaking games, right? It is what it is. I never said I'm gonna freaking act here or something. I'm gonna be real, man, always. Oh, Anna is not happy, by the way, with me because I'm too hungry. But I am hungry, man. They just killed 42 children. These fucking animals, man. 42 innocent kids went to school this morning, and these fascist Israelis, Americans went in and killed them. And this number is constantly rising. How can anybody cannot be angry when this is happening? RT had a report. RT has a correspondent in Tehran, and by the way, I can give you a report of RT's correspondent about these strikes.
Israel and the United States launched attacks against different targets inside Tehran and other cities and towns across the country. As talking to you, this is the view of Tehran, and a couple of hours ago, different locations of Tehran were hit, especially in the center of Tehran.
And I can see someone is asking school on Saturday morning. Yes, I mean, there are schools that are open here in Russia too, by the way. I don't know how it is in the West, but yes, there are in early classes, in beginner classes, there are lessons on Saturdays, and my kids were studying on Saturdays when they were on a lower grade in a school. I mean, just because in US maybe you have no, or in the West or in fascist Israel you not have schools on Saturdays, does not mean that the rest of the world is operating in the very same way as you do. There are schools, by the way, right, on Saturdays. Yes, here in Russia also.
Which is the location of the presidential office. Also, other state organizations were hit as a result of the U.S.-Israeli raids. Among them, the headquarters of the Supreme National Security Council. Also, the Ministry of Intelligence was hit, and also the Atomic Energy Organization of Iran was also attacked by Israel and the U.S. during the raids on Saturday. Well, other locations and places and cities and towns were also hit, and explosions were heard in those areas as well. As among them in Lorestan, Karaj, Tabriz, Isfahan, Qom, Disful, Khark, Island, Kangan, Nahavand were all hit as a result of the U.S.-Israeli air raids. Also in that part, southeast of Tehran and also east of Tehran, Parchin, same explosions were heard, and definitely locations were hit by the Israeli-U.S. attacks. So this comes as the Iranian Interior Ministry has issued a statement calling on all Iranians to remain calm and exercise caution. And of course, the Interior Ministry has said that actually everything is under control, and definitely the enemy will be responded swiftly and decisively. And this comes as according to incoming reports, Iran has already fired missiles into Israel, and explosions have also been heard inside Israel. So definitely in coming hours we expect more retaliatory responses from Iran. So we have to wait to see how heavy Iranian response would be to the Israeli and the United States attacks against the country, because Iranians have always said that if attacked, definitely a decisive and powerful response would be awaiting. So we have to wait for the official statements coming out and also Iran's reactions in this regard. So I'll get you updated as soon as I get the latest.
So this is one of the reports from RT. This is RT's correspondent, by the way, that is reporting from Iran right there. And as I said, man, whole world is hungry. If you have a heart, by the way, of course your heart is burning now. And if you have a soul, by the way, you cannot be cool and calm, right? Because yet again, Israeli and American fascists are killing innocent people, killing children, acting on a world stage as a rabid animals. And I mean, this cannot. I don't know. I mean, this cannot stay like that, man. This is nonsense, right? This is freaking nonsense, man. We have to teach these motherfuckers a lesson, man. Right? For sure, man. For sure. And my apologies if my language is little too French. today, but yeah, it is what it is. I'm hungry, man. I'm hungry that these animals are up to their dirty stuff again, right? And I'm calling them animals openly, by the way. I don't have any respect for Israelis or for American fascists, right? Either for Israeli fascists or for American fascists. You are in support of killing the innocent people and civilians and children. You are freaking fascist and animal then. You have nothing in common with the true actual humans. That's it, man. I'm not considering these fascists to be humans as I am. Period, man. Period. No fucking polit correctness, man. I'm sick and tired of this shit, right? That you have we have to be polite towards who, man? Fucking rabid animals. I have to be polite. Seriously? What the hell? What the hell, man? And let's see those decent human beings that I believe are plenty, supposed to be plenty, either in US or Israel. Let's see what those people gonna do today or tomorrow. What they gonna do? They're gonna do freaking nothing, man. Right? Nothing. Most of them, at least. And the Russian Foreign Ministry reacted. Russian Foreign Ministry reacted on these developments, and the reaction is quite strong. Obviously, neither Israel, neither US cares about statements from Moscow, but nevertheless, world is watching, world is listening, and history will remember. History will remember where humans were standing and where this or that country was standing when these rabid animals were committing crimes against humanity. Rabid animals, that is fascist Americans and fascist Israelis, right? And let's go through some statements of Russian Foreign Ministry. So Russian Foreign Ministry is in connection with the armed aggression of the US and Israel against Iran, demands to immediately return to the situation, to their track of political and diplomatic settlement. On the morning of February 28, the armed forces of the US and Israel began to carry out airstrikes on the territory of Iran. The scale and the nature of their preceding this reckless step, military, political, and propaganda preparations, including their deployment of the large military group of the US in the region, leave no doubt that we are talking about premeditated and unprovoked act of armed aggression against a sovereign and independent member of the UN, United Nations, in violation of the fundamental principles and norms of international law. And clearly this is correct statement. This is unprovoked attack on Iran whatsoever. Never Iran threatened the US in any way, shape, or form, right? Iran did not threaten Israel either. Did Iran attack Israel yesterday, day before yesterday, or a month ago? No, they did not. This is a war of choice. This is unprovoked aggression and crime against humanity committed by US and Israel. Again. And the Russian Foreign Ministry is highlighting that. Also, the statement says it is also reprehensible that the attack are again being carried out under the cover of resumed negotiating process, which is also very important stuff, by the way. Once more, US demonstrated that diplomacy, they don't acknowledge diplomacy. They use diplomacy as a tool of deception, right? They don't really have any respect for true diplomats, true diplomacy. And clearly, this is a lesson for everybody who thinks they can be engaged in a diplomatic work with the US. Yeah, you cannot. You can try, but you're going to be misled. That's all, right? That's what US does. That's what Western ruling class does generally. They use diplomacy as a tool of deception, period. And the Russian Foreign Ministry knows that perfectly well. So it is also reprehensible that their attacks are again being carried out under the cover of the resumed negotiating process, supposedly aimed to ensure the longer-term normalization of their situation around the Islamic Republic, and contrary to the signals conveyed to the Russian side about the Israelis a lack of interest in a military confrontation with the Iranians. The international, and by the way, I hope we will cut diplomatic ties with Israel and US. I hope we will do this today, man. Right? It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, man. Let's cut diplomatic ties with all these fascist states, man. What are we doing? The international community, including the leadership of the UN and IAEA, is obliged to immediately give an objective and uncompromised assessment of their irresponsible actions aimed at destroying peace, stability, and security in the Middle East. Washington and Tel Aviv have once again, and by the way, Russia does not recognize Jerusalem to be capital of Israel because Jerusalem is not capital of Israel. Tel Aviv is, right? And we don't give a fuck what American leadership thinks about it. We don't give a fuck about American leadership at all, period, right? Or Israeli leadership. We don't give a fuck about rabid animals. That's what I'm saying, right? So Washington and Tel Aviv have once again embarked on a dangerous adventure, which is rapidly bringing the region closer to humanitarian, economic, and possibly radiological catastrophe. Also factually accurate statement. The aggressors' intentions are clear, and they are openly declaring them to destroy their constitutional order and eliminate the leadership of undesirable state that refuses to submit to forceful dictator and hegemony. The responsibility for negative consequences of this man-made crisis, including an unpredictable chain reaction and their spiral of violence, lies entirely with them, with their fascist Israel and fascist US. They are openly ignoring the serious consequences of those ill-considered steps for the global non-proliferation regime, their cornerstone of which is their NPT. At the same time, the American-Israeli tandem is hiding behind their alleged concerns about Iran's not acquiring nuclear weapons, bombing nuclear facilities under IAEA guarantees is unacceptable. And the statement continues. In fact, Washington and Tel Aviv have motives that have nothing to do with the non-proliferation regime. They cannot fail to understand that by plunging the Middle East into a vortex of uncontrollable escalation, they are actually encouraging countries around the world, especially in the region, to acquire increasingly serious means against emerging threats. We demand her to immediately return to the situation, to the track of political and diplomatic settlement. Russia, as before, is ready to assist in a search for a peaceful solution based on international law, mutual respect, and balance of interest. This is a statement of the Russian Foreign Ministry. A strong statement, strong condemnation of fascist Israelis and fascist Americans. But unfortunately, those rabid animals not going to listen, of course. I mean, rabid animals, man. You know how you're going to deal with a rabid animal, right? You're going to put that animal to sleep. That's the only way, man. You cannot treat rabid animal. It's impossible. At least until now, only way to deal with rabid animals is to put them asleep, right? To make sure that everyone else is safe. And yeah, that's how it is, man. These rabid animals, fascist Israelis, fascist Americans, they're not going to react on positively on any human and any human incentive. They just cannot, right? They are rabid animals. That's what they are. And so that's what is going on. That's what is going on. This is the first wave of attacks. Of course, I predicted that this would happen. I have a clear vision of what is going on, by the way, and I have shared before my take, what actual task of America and Israel and their Western ruling class is. And Well, I was very clear, isn't it? They want her to descend Middle East, not just Iran, but Middle East, entire Middle East, by the way, into a war. They want to create total chaos and power vacuum in Iran to force local different groups there to get engaged in a military confrontation to fulfill this power vacuum. That therefore West is pushing basically towards the civil war on ethnic lines in Iran, and they will try to spell this civil war if they succeed in that throughout the region, right? And to other wars on the sectarian lines too, because we should keep in mind that in Iran, vast majority is a Shiite Muslim. In Iraq, vast majority of is Shiite Muslim. But in rest of the regional countries, majorities, if I remember correctly, majorities everywhere are Sunni Muslims, right? So Western ruling class wants to create basically power vacuum in Iran, descend this country into total chaos and civil war, and do the same throughout the region. And also West wants to provoke potentially, when they can, wars between the regional countries, right? To add more fuel to the fire. And all this in order to shut down navigation into Persian Gulf and through Hormuz Strait, to cut off China from Middle Eastern energy sources, right? That's their goal. And they want to cut off China from Middle Eastern because they know in that case, China will increase its dependence on Russian energy up to a critical level. And at that point, when that will happen in 3 years from now, 5 years from now, right? They will try to use their fifth columns in both countries, Russia and China, to create tensions, right? And to put fear in Beijing, in Chinese leadership, that Russia is about to turn its back on China or something like that, to basically force China out of fear to take a military action and secure closest, and try at least to secure closest energy fields with military means. And where those closest energy fields are from China, it's Russia, by the way. Russia and Central Asian republics of former Soviet Union, Kazakhstan, first and foremost, right? So West wants to, this is a longer term strategical strategy of the Western elites, right? To provoke basically war between Russia and China, somewhere around 2030, 2035. That's what they want, right? And the Middle East, destruction of Middle East is just one episode from this general strategy that they have. That's what is happening. And I have said many times before, by the way, that there is a very high probability that West will fail. There is a very high probability that West will fail. I don't think they're going to be able to provoke a civil war in Iran, but they're going to try hard, man. They're going to create not just power vacuum, but they will try to create total chaos, right? They will attack energy infrastructure. They will attack all possible civilian infrastructure in Iran, right? Energy infrastructure, water supply, everything. They want to destroy Iran, erase any state institutions, any infrastructure whatsoever, right? To provoke this internal confrontation and then push that, spread that confrontation on ethnic and potentially sectarian lines throughout the region. And that's why reports are coming in that during this aggression, unprovoked aggression on Iran, Israeli fascists specifically targeted energy infrastructure of Iran, water supplies. They're already doing it, by the way. What I was predicting that Israeli fascists will do and their allies, they are actually doing it already. Right? And I see a question how long this will last. Yet again, to create, if my understanding of the big picture is correct, to create a power vacuum in Iran to descend this country into total chaos and civil war, one wave of strike, 2 waves of strike, 5 waves of strike, not going to be enough for sure, right? To erase any elements of infrastructure or the statehood. US and Israel and their other fascist allies, they will need at least several months of unending campaign of high-level military pressure, strikes, cyber attacks, terrorist attacks, and so on, right? To erase any existence of a statehood in Iran throughout the country, right? And to destroy as much infrastructure as possible so that people will start fighting for survival with each other, for little resources that will remain, right? And question is, does US, Israel definitely has not, but does US has enough stockpiles of missiles and bombs and everything to achieve this, to be able to bomb Iran for next several months on end? I don't think they can do it, man. I don't think they can do it. They will use, of course, their assets among Baluchi minority in Iran and among Kurdish minority in Iran to destabilize the country from within. But these are tiny minority compared to two major groups, Persians and Azerbaijanis. Persians are some 50 to 60% of population. Azerbaijanis are 20 to up to 30%, right? Both ethnic groups, Persians and Azerbaijanis, are nation builders. Iranian civilization is their civilization, right? They don't consider themselves to be, in this particular case, especially Azerbaijanis, by the way, they don't consider themselves to be occupied people or something. They are nation builders, right? They play a crucial role in building this civilization. And in past 3 to 5 centuries, most of their dynasties in Iran were Azerbaijanis, actually, not the Persians, but Azerbaijanis. And last time Persian dynasty was in charge was that Shah regime that US implemented, right? After orchestrating coup d'etat against Mossadegh, democratically elected leader of Iran. Shah, that Shah that US put there in power, in position of power, was a Persian, and his son maybe will be used by Americans now to invoke internal confrontation, because during the Shah's reign, Tehran was suppressing, that Shah regime was suppressing Azerbaijanis big time. And there was a forceful move to forcefully assimilate Azerbaijanis, right? To turn them into Persians, to erase their cultural, historical affiliation with their roots. And therefore, Azerbaijanis hated the Shah, right? Hated, by the way. And there is a logical explanation why religious leaders of, for example, Iran after the Islamic Revolution were Azerbaijanis, actually. First supreme leader of Iran, I believe, was Azerbaijani ethnically. And if I remember correctly, current supreme leader is also Azerbaijani ethnically. So Azerbaijanis are integral part of this civilization. This is not the people that been occupied by Persians. No, man. Persians and Azerbaijanis together build this civilization. So it will be immensely difficult for US and Israeli fascists and their allies, by the way, to actually provoke war between these two. And if they fail in that, they're going to fail generally in this whole campaign against Iran and against the Middle East and against China and Russia, because ultimately this is all this operation is just one part of anti-Russian, anti-Chinese strategy that Western ruling class is adopting throughout the world. So therefore, it is difficult to say how long this will last. But if Western ruling class is determined to pursue this goal, as far as I can tell, then this military campaign will last for many, many months. And if people of Iran will receive all the necessary assistance from France, Russia, China, others, I think Iranian people will emerge victorious in this struggle. and the evil force that Western Israel and the Western world is, elites, by the way, of the Western world and Israel, this evil force will be defeated. Maybe not erased from their face of the earth completely, but will be defeated. There is a high probability of that. And also, we should keep in mind that there was some tension, right, between White House and the Pentagon, according to some reports, because U.S. military leadership might be stupid and uneducated, unqualified to be in charge of for this army that they have, but they are not complete morons, and they do understand that they cannot sustain high level of military activity against Iran for many months on end. They just have not enough military personnel, not enough military equipment, not enough stockpiles, right? But Washington did not listen to concerns of the militaries. Washington went ahead with this operation anyways, right? And well, if assumptions of U.S. militaries and many others, by the way, are correct, then I'm telling you, man, this all this war gonna end with a total catastrophe for the U.S., for the Israel also. In the long run, they're gonna lose big time, man. And there is a probability also, if Pentagon will continue to insist that they are not capable of maintain high level of pressure on Iran for many months on end to reach that goal that Western elites are giving them, right? To create this power vacuum, provoke civil war in Iran, then throughout the region, right? Or provoke wars between different countries and stuff. If Pentagon continues to insist that they have no enough means to succeed in this operation, then in that case, there is a probability that this military campaign will be short, right? And in a couple of days' time, maybe even before end of next week, this Israeli and American fascists will say, well, they achieved their goals and they are stopping now. That's also a possibility. Yet again, if American militaries will insist in the talks with the White House that they cannot maintain high level of military operations for a long period of time. In that case, if Washington will listen now, they might we might see end of active phase of military confrontation in a few days' time, before end of next week. Which way think situation will develop? Of course, I don't know. I have no sources either in the Pentagon or in the White House, right? But Western ruling class, I'm quite sure, will continue to insist on a destabilization, full-scale destabilization of the Iran and the Middle East, to shut down navigation in the Persian Gulf and through Hormuz Strait, by the way. They will continue to insist on that, right? Let's check for some updates. Well, look at this, man. Death toll to at their primary school in southern Iran has risen to 57. These American and Israeli fascists killed 57 kids, by the way, during this morning attacks. All decent, good-hearted Americans should be ashamed of their own country, man, right? And probably they are. And if there are any good-hearted, decent human beings left among Israelis, they should be ashamed of their fascist country also. They just went in and killed these innocent kids, man. Fucking animals they are, man. These Americans and Israelis. Fucking animals. What can I say, man? Unbelievable, man. Seems like they are absolutely intentionally killing the civilians, man, right? Maybe this is just this terror is just a part of their campaign, military campaigns. Why they always killing so many civilians, man? What is wrong with them, man? The answer is clear. Everything is wrong with them, right? Everything is wrong with them. They're always killing civilians in large numbers, man. Always. Traditionally, man. Americans, Westerners, generally speaking, right? And Israelis. Israelis just kill hundreds of thousands of civilians, but no one even knows actual number, how many civilians they killed in Gaza, right? Tens of thousands of bodies of killed civilians probably are still under the rubble throughout the Gaza Strip, and God knows where clearing operation will be done there, and these people will be buried. So I can go through. I see this comment from Pet Pet Eder Nanzer. I give one thumbs up, and YouTube did not move his likes number upwards. Oh, it happens constantly, always, brother. It happens always, man. YouTube hates my channel, and not just YouTube, but yeah. So that's what is going on. By the way, I will check now. I mean, we can go actually together and check different Telegram channels for latest update, right? I will try to open window for Telegram. What the heck, man? So that's Telegram, right? Okay. Now Telegram should be on the screen. Correct. Yes, now you have Telegram, my Telegram channel, by the way, and let's check on other channels, by the way, for some updates. DD Geopolitics is reporting that Israel plunges Iran into darkness with the largest cyber attack in history during the attacks against Iran. Massive, all major Iranian media, state news agency, IRNA, Tasnim News, Fars News, IRB News, Press TV, and others are in inaccessible online because of the massive Israeli cyber attack on Iranian media and the government services. Their IRIB News broadcasting center was also targeted in a physical strike. Yeah, Israeli fascists went after journalists, of course. In Gaza, how many journalists they kill in Gaza? Israeli animals? 200, 300 more. They're doing the same in Iran, by the way. Animals are animals, right? Always. You can see right now, and you see I'm not apologetic about it. I don't give a fuck about Israel. I don't give a fuck about fascist Israelis. I have no respect, no sympathy for them, right? I don't hate them because I don't want my heart to be full of hate. I just don't care about them, man, right? I don't see them as a humans, period. Israeli fascists are shame on humanity. All the fascists, right? But I mean, this Israel, this fascist entity, man, is something extraordinary, man. After Nazi Germany, there was no such a horrible entity as modern Israelis, man, right? Yes, U.S. has done numerous crimes. Other Western countries have done numerous crimes, but at least they were not this direct in mass killings of their civilians. They killed numerous people, numerous millions of people, by the way. But at least I don't know, man. They were pretending to be like, not necessarily after the civilians, right? Israel, no, Israel don't care, man. They are just going around killing everybody they want, anywhere they want, right? Freaking fascists, man. So massive column of smoke rising over the US NSA base in Manama, Bahrain. You can see on your screen right now. And I wonder, dear friends, how many channels in alternative media will dare to speak like I do, man, about these freaking fascists, man? Anybody? One channel, two channel, five channels? No, man, I don't know. I don't think they will say even a single aggressive word or critical word about these fascists, man, fascist Israelis. Unbelievable, man. Bahrain authorities evacuate people from US base location. Okay. Uh, there is videos of you can see on your screen, by the way, right now, these videos when civilian areas were targeted by Israelis and Americans. Yeah, that's also something. I mean, probably I have to move that video. It's kind of 18 plus stuff, and my channel is about news. But in reality, that's what Israel does to US, man. We all know that, isn't it? That's exactly what Israel is doing to US. It is what it is. US naval support activity, Bahrain base on fire. Yeah, from another angle, basically, this aftermath of Iranian strike. You can see right now on your screen that AFP reports that a base in Kuwait housing Italian military personnel has suffered a significant damage to its runway. Okay, what Italian military is lost in Kuwait, man? What they lost in Kuwait? There is not enough place in Italy. What's going on here, man? This is Erbil, by the way. Air defenses are active. US military base was targeted in Erbil also. This is Iraq, of course. Iraqi Kurdistan area, isn't it? This is Tel Aviv. This video that you see right now. I guess aftermath of strike. I don't know. Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov had a phone conversation with his Iranian counterpart Abbas Araghchi. Earlier, there was reports that Abbas Araghchi was targeted and killed, but Iranian Foreign Ministry debunked that claim right away, and now we have basically confirmation that Araghchi survived her, and he had a phone conversation with Lavrov. Smoke is seen over Iranian naval base on Kish Island, aftermath of Israeli-American strike there. Iranian missile launches reported towards northern Israel. This information was shared some 20-30 minutes ago, so probably those missiles already either arrived or arriving. Omani Foreign Minister Badr al-Basudi expresses his condemnation of a condemnation and frustration towards the US. I can give you a statement. And Oman was mediating, isn't it? Oman was mediating, by the way. in these so-called negotiations. And you know, I said how many times I said this is all nonsense. By the way, U.S. is not genuine. U.S. leadership, those fucking animals, are not genuine, man. These disgusting creatures like Witkoff and Kushner and Trump and other garbage. They're all only using diplomacy as a tool to mislead Iran once on one side, on one hand, and also to gain some time before they will build up their military assets. That's exactly what happened, right? That's exactly what happened, and Oman feels to be, of course, uh, humiliated because they were mediating. They were mediating, right? I am dismayed, active, and serious negotiations have yet again been undermined. Neither the interests of the United States nor the cause of a global peace are well served by this, and I pray for the innocent who will suffer. I urge the United States not to get sucked in further. This is not your war. Um, Yet again, the Omani foreign minister Badr Busaidi stated, and yet again, we all know U.S. Leadership not gonna listen. U.S. is not really independent country, by the way. U.S. is a tool in hands of Zionists, in hands of globalists and their allies, right, inside the U.S. But country itself, U.S. itself, is not really independent country, just a tool. And I can understand why Americans might not like this to hear, but well, truth is not always nice, you know. Sometimes truth is ugly and they're hurtful, but it's true nevertheless. When U.S. actually had their leadership that was focused on interests of the American people, can you tell me when last time this happened? When? I don't know. I don't know, man. Right? Maybe Americans do. I don't know. You know, also right now, this video, by the way, of Smoker is a video of the Epstein coalition strikes on the residence of Ayatollah Khamenei in Tehran earlier today. And you know how Western elites being called nowadays, American elites, Epstein class, Epstein coalition and stuff like that. This evil force, this evil, finally, more and more people worldwide, by the way, and this is language used by the Geopolitics in this particular case. I'm on the same page with them, absolutely. You see, more and more people are actually standing up to confront this evil force, man. Western elites, and to call them out, right? Western elites and their allies, Zionists and the rest of the garbage, is an existential threat for humanity. And until we will confront them, right? Until we will confront them openly, man, I don't know what might until we will confront them openly, you know, we have no chance, man. Once we will actually say it openly that yes, these are existential threat to humanity, Western elites, Zionists, all of them, and when we will start, then we will start fighting. Once we will acknowledge what is their threat. But process is slow. Process is slow, but we will get there. We will get there eventually. Well, I don't really care what Finnish president had to say about anything, really. Yes, another confirmation that on February 28 at the Iran's initiative, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov held a phone call with Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi Arakchi outlined Tehran's steps to repel US and Israeli aggression, which once again derailed the negotiations on a peaceful resolution of the Iranian nuclear issue. He also announced plans to urgently convene the UN Security Council. Lavrov condemned the unprovoked US-Israeli armed attack on Iran as a clear violation of international law, carried out with their total disregard to regional and global stability. He called for an immediate halt to the strikes and a return to political and diplomatic track. Lavrov reaffirmed Russia's readiness, including at the UN Security Council, to support a peaceful settlement based on international law, mutual respect, and a balance of interests. This is all good, but hopefully we already send, hopefully, to Iran many things that will be very handy and helpful for Iranians to repel this aggression and to kill as many American and Israeli fascists as possible, obviously. Militaries, by the way, legit target, right? I'm not talking about civilians. We all understand this, isn't it? We are talking about combatants. So hopefully, Russia send as much assistance to Iran as possible to kill as many American and Israeli combatants as possible. I hope no American military will leave Middle East alive. Am I clear on that? And I hope all Israeli militaries will fucking die. I hope all Israeli militaries will be fucking killed, man. Those animals deserve no mercy, period. Am I clear where I'm standing, man? I guess so, right? And I don't give a fuck if anybody likes my language and if anybody does not like my language. I just don't care, man. I just don't, right? Someone has to say as it is and be brutally honest, man. That's what we need, actually. And when you see animals, rabid animals, you have to say that this is a rabid animals, man. We have to do something about it. There is no time to mess around rabid animals because they're gonna fucking kill you. That's what it is, man, right? Here there is a Iranian Shahid 136 striker on a radar installation at the US Naval Support Base in Bahrain. And you can see drone is descending, and then, yeah, babach. Good, man, good. Yeah, this time around, Iran is not playing no games, isn't it? They are striking back, and this is just the beginning. I said, man, there is a high probability that West will fail, Western Israel will fail, and I'm telling you, anything less than total chaos in Iran, total destruction of a statehood, anything less than creation of the power vacuum and the provocation of the civil war in Iran will be seen by world as a victory of Iran and Iranian people, and that will be correct assessment. Yes, US and Israel can harm Iran, of course, and as I have said many times in my previous updates, if Western ruling class will insist on their orders to provoke to create power vacuum, provoke civil war and stuff like that, and if US and Israel continues to operate militarily, they be able to harm Iran big time, and in some cases recovery might take a decade or two even. But anything less than what I just said, man, power vacuum in Iran, civil war, and their total chaos will be seen by world as a victory of Iran and humiliating defeat of US, Israel, and the Western world. Epstein coalition, according to the Geopolitics, strikes again Zanjan, northern Iran, and right now you can see smoke from certain areas in that province. Let's see what RT is reporting, by the way. Let's see what RT is reporting. Marco Rubio orders US diplomats to avoid public comments that could derail Iran talks. Seriously? What? This is old news, by the way. Okay. They were messing around. We all know that. Iraqi-based Kataib Hezbollah threatens imminent attacks on U.S. bases in response to U.S.-Israeli op. Al Jazeera report about it. And you know what? Enough talk, man. Just go ahead and kill as many Israeli fascists and American fascists as you can, man. There is no need for these freaking statements. If you are capable of killing rabid animals, just go ahead and kill them. Just do it, right? What the hell, man? At least 24 killed. This is early reporter. Unfortunately, later on, number rose to over 50 when Israeli and American fascist animals attacked school in Iran. And these prostitutes, by the way, throughout the Gulf so-called kingdoms, one after another condemning Iran for retaliatory strikes. These filthy bitches, man, of Anglo-Saxons and their Zionists. These filthy fucking bitches and the prostitutes, man, whores. Dare to criticize Iran. These fucking animals, man. Kingdom of Saudi Arabia condemns and denounces in the strongest terms the treacherous Iranian aggression and their blatant violation of the sovereignty of you fucking animals. You are housing military bases of US, right? Dirty scum. And you are opening your skies for Israelis to strike Iran, and you are complaining now that Iran retaliated? Be grateful, motherfucking animals, that Iran did not kill you already. These filthy bitches, man, right? So-called royals in Saudi Arabia and the rest of this fucking toilet that Saudi Arabia is and their Jordan and the rest of their British creating garbage, right? British created nonsense. There was no Saudi Arabia in existence, never existed, by the way, and should never exist, right? I hate this. I don't hate this fucking. I despise this low level primitive elements, man. So-called royals. Did Riyadh said anything condemning US and Israel? Filth. That's what they are, man. Fucking filth. Erbil, Iraq anti-air source into sky to shut down incoming missiles. What are you doing? If Iraqis are trying to intercept Iranian missiles, Iraqi leadership is even more stupid than I was thinking, man. You are assisting your enemies, you fucking idiots. What are you doing? Abbas Araghchi posted on his Twitter X, I guess, Netanyahu and Trump's war on Iran is wholly unprovoked, illegal, and illegitimate, of course. Trump has turned America first into Israel first, which always means America last. Our powerful armed forces are prepared for this day and will teach their aggressors the lesson they deserve. Okay, man, just go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it, man. Teach them a lesson. Because the Western ruling class and Zionists, they only understand language of force, man. They only understand language of force. So go ahead and kill them all, really. Or as many of those rabid animals as you possibly can, man. And whole world is supporting you. Whole world Every good human being, decent human being, by the way, supports Iran, obviously, because this is a war of choice. Iran never threatened US, right? Iran did nothing against Israel. Absolutely unprovoked war. Absolutely unprovoked war, right? Crime against humanity committed by Israel and US and their collective West, generally speaking, because of course US and Israel are receiving assistance from other NATO member states, their allies, and also their regional prostitutes, the so-called royal dynasties in throughout the Gulf, and their the so-called countries, man. How you can call country Saudi Arabia, man? I mean, seriously, come on. These fucking prostitutes. Prostitutes of Israelis, man. Israelis went and killed hundreds of thousands of innocent Palestinians, and Saudi royal family is sucking their feet of their Israeli masters of this. That's what they are, man. Fucking prostitutes, right? IDF released some footage of attacks. Barak Ravider, this Zionist dirty scum that possesses as a journalist of Axios, stated that Trump is not expected at the moment to give another speech on a Saturday. Okay, Trump went to talk some shit, isn't it? After attacks or something. I did not listen. I don't care, man. Right, really. What that Israeli prostitute has to say. And you can see now launches of Israeli missiles, launches of the Iranian missiles towards the targets. And yeah, man, Iranian people have to stand strong, man. And I said, anything less than total chaos in Iran, total destruction of statehood, state elements of the statehood, or anything less than the total power vacuum and the civil war will be victory, will be considered as a victory of Iran and humiliating defeat for the US and the Israeli and their allies, right? So Iranian people have to stand stronger, for sure, and they can achieve victory, man. Right now, you can see on your screen flight of Tomahawk missiles, looks like about 20 Tomahawks flying towards some targets in Iran, launched by US. So this is our first day, by the way. This is the first day of attacks on Iran, but Iran is retaliating. You see, Iran is retaliating, and well, let's hope. Let's hope Iranian people will have all the assistance they need to repel this attack and defend themselves. And hopefully Iran will put Israel and the US in their places. They can do it, man. Wow, that's breaking news, man. At least 200 US military personnel is killed and wounded as a result of Iranian strikes. Information is coming from IRGC. So just now, IRGC claimed that as a result of their retaliatory strikes. At least 200 US military personnel is killed and wounded. Good if true, by the way. Good if true, for sure. Let's kill them all, man. All US militaries are legit target and should be exterminated, obviously, right? Enemy is enemy, man. No mercy. But yet again, information is coming from IRGC, so therefore, uh, let's wait for some additional confirmations. Yes, refueling plane was spotted somewhere over the Israel. Oh, interesting. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez stated on X that Spain rejects what he described as a unilateral military action by the United States and Israel. He said the strikes on Iran is a clear escalation that increases regional instability. We likewise reject their actions of the Iranian regime and the Revolutionary Guard. Are you freaking idiot? What you Oh man, how disgusting are these people, man? They are denying Iran right to defend itself, man. How disgusting are these people that pretend to have a dignity, right? You see, this Spanish prime minister went to kind of be critical about this U.S. American crime against humanity, and then he went out to Iran again. I mean, what the hell, man? What you want from Iran? They are defending themselves. Don't they have a right to do so? Scum, man. Total. I'm telling you, man. Among Western elites, there is not a single decent human being. I'm telling you. There is not a single actually decent human being among Western elites. Not a single one. That's how it is. It's just factually accurate statement, man. So let's check. Maybe Russian media is reporting some. What should I do, dear friends? Should I stay online and carry on with updates, or should I end live stream? I think I did share the enough information available for now, but I can continue for a little while if you want to, and I'll give you updates as news will become available in the Russian segment. What should I do? I mean, I'm watching now chat. Give me your voice, dear friends. I see Soccer Jazz is commenting. Take a pause. More news. Sunshine is commenting more. Stay online, carry on. Okay, then. Okay, I will carry on. I will continue, dear friends. And dear friends, I see Botman F. Please be kind towards members of community, right? You use whatever language you want against any regime, any officials. I have no issue with that, but please, dear friends, never be, let's never insult each other. Let's not be aggressive towards each other, because we are not decision makers. No one is asking our opinion, right? No one, we are just ordinary people, by the way, and we are not enemies. We should always keep that in mind, that we ordinary people, no matter where we are, Russia, China, India, I don't know, US, Spain, by the way, that has this disgusting prime minister, or any other country, we ordinary people are ordinary people. We are not enemies. Our enemy is a Western ruling class, right? So let's be very nice to each other, by the way, in chat. And as members of our community said, I will continue then. I will continue with the updates, and there is updates, by the way. I can stay for a little while. And once again, at some moments, this is an emotional day. We all understand this, and time to time, I went emotional, and my language was too French, let's say, and I apologize. I apologize for my language, right? Not the attitude, but for the language. Uh, okay, that's been said, dear friends. Not the criticism, because my criticism is absolutely justified of Israel and U.S. And Western running class, but sometimes I use this freaking French too much, you know. But dear friends, have you seen other? Of course, you have seen other channels, isn't it, in alternative media? Go look at Kyle Kalinski's shows. I mean, compared to Kyle Kalinski, my language is freaking nice, man. Because sometimes Kyle Kalinski is going so wild, man, that even I am kind of impressed, right? And he is not alone. He is not alone. In alternative media, yes, there is this freedom that you can actually be you, right? And don't have to pretend. And if you are emotional, you are emotional. If you feel good, you feel good, and all that kind of stuff, right? And so, yeah, I can see comment. I like Kyle. I mean, there are some topics that I can understand. I'm long time subscriber to his channel, and there is some topics that I understand he's coming from, but there are other topics that I definitely don't. But I mean, he is an OG, by the way, in this field of alternative media. He is one of the OGs, right? So, I mean, it is what it is, man. So, dear friends, then I'll continue. I will just take a little pause. I will go on the balcony to take a smoke, man, cigarette. I come back and I give you more news, right? And there are updates. I just check the RIA Novosti and other media outlets. There is updates, by the way. So I am coming back in a minute. Okay, I am back. I'm back, by the way, and well, let's continue. Let's continue with the latest news. General of IRGC, Ibrahim Jabari, is stating that Iran only launch little portion of their stockpile of the missiles today, and more is coming. Also, head of Iran, Abbas Araghchi, stated that that attack on Iranian school will not be an answer. Rather, there will be a retaliation for that. Iran's Red Crescent spokesperson said that more than 20 provinces have been targeted by Israeli-US since the beginning of this escalation. Situation is under control. No cause of concern. Whatever what that means, even. Largest attack has been on a all-girls school in Minab County, where 57 girls were killed and 60 injured. It was a girls' school, by the way, and 60 girls, almost 60 girls, 57 childs and girls were killed, 60 injured by these war criminals, American and Israeli war criminals. It's a tragedy, of course, but that's what they do, man. They always go after civilians, always. Putin held an emergency meeting with the members of their country's Security Council. The situation unfolding around Iran was discussed, of course. And there is I'm not going to open this. This is a video of 18 plus video, I guess. Some disturbing images there. One of the this is video from that school that was targeted by Israeli and U.S. So-called militaries. By the way, these are genocidal maniacs. You cannot even call them a military, because military is supposed to have a dignity and decency, right? And military should operate with a certain warrior code. But there is no warrior code among Israeli militaries and Western militaries, US militaries. They have no warrior code, man. These are genocidal freaking maniacs, most of them. If there is any decent human being in either US military or in Israeli military, they should resign straight away in protest. And by the way, you have seen, I'm quite sure, numerous videos, numerous addresses of American veterans that were fool enough to join army, become a mercenary for basically ruling Epstein class, right? And then being deployed in numerous areas, numerous wars. And those veterans who see what US brings to those countries, death and destruction, those veterans were calling on US militaries not to obey these freaking criminal orders from Washington. Did the Congress authorize this war against Iran? No, they did not. Right? According to US Constitution, as far as I'm concerned, it's only Congress that can authorize war on other country. So Congress, which is packed with their Zionist puppets, but nevertheless, did Congress authorize this war? They did not. It's an absolutely illegal war, by the way. And everyone who participates on behalf of US militaries are war criminals. Literally everyone. All of them. No exceptions, by the way. All of them are war criminals and they are party of this crime against humanity. That's how it is. You can see right now this image of smoke over the Mufawaka, over the air base in Mufawaka, Salty in Jordan. So this base was also struck. Rosatom reported that kids were evacuated from kids of Russian engineers, Russian personnel that in Iran that was working on a nuclear projects. And in Bushehr, by the way, nuclear power plant is being built, and it's a Russian Rosatom that is building this power plant. And the head of Russian Rosatom, Alexei Likhachov, stated that in no circumstances a nuclear power plant should be a target for anybody ever, but yet again tell this to Israeli and the US leadership. I mean, do they care? Seriously, statement by Prime Minister Corny and Minister Anand on the situation in the Middle East. Canada is supporting, Canadian government is closely following Iran-related hostilities throughout the Middle East and urges all Canadians in Iran to shelter in place. Canadians in the wider region should follow local advice and take all necessary precautions. Canada's position remains clear. The Islamic Republic of Iran is the principal source of their instability and terror throughout the Middle East. Seriously, has one of world's worst human rights records and must never be allowed to obtain or develop nuclear weapons. It's disgusting, man. Iran has no nuclear weapons, right? Did not even build, and that was a mistake, I will say, on part of Iran that they did not actually build nuclear weapons. They could be able, if they build one, they would be in a position now to dealt actual very serious damage straight away to hostile sites, but nevertheless they did not build no nukes, right? And all this propaganda, this BS propaganda of the Washington and Israel and all the others that Iran should not be able to build nukes. They don't build nukes, right? But yet again, because these morons have not been challenged by their own public, either in Canada or in US or elsewhere, well, they will continue to push these false narratives and justify literally anything they want, right? No. Yes, I mean, right now you see on your screen a little fragment of Zhirinovsky's speech, and Zhirinovsky was predicting a lot of stuff, by the way. Zhirinovsky was correctly predicting a lot of stuff, and including war with Iran. And he was saying that there are going to be waves of refugees that will go throughout the region. And I have not listened to this particular video. What he's saying, and so Zhirinovsky was predicting that when in 2012, by the way, that was. So Zhirinovsky was predicting that when West will and Israel will attack Iran, there will be a humanitarian catastrophe, and refugees, waves of refugees would move towards southern Caucasus and then towards Russia from Caucasus. Yes, this is one of the. I spoke about this a few days ago, actually, that humanitarian catastrophe might be created, and there are going to be waves of refugees towards Turkey and towards Caucasus, southern Caucasus, and from there, some might move towards Russian border, obviously, right? So yes, it's logical that this might happen. IDF is mobilizing some 70,000 reservists, allegedly. Iran conducted a new strike on US base in Kuwait, according to Tasnim news agency. You see, these videos actually, yes, I mean, videos clearly been. Не, когда я вот с Телеграма там видео показываю, ну, видно, да, я вот сейчас мониторю там, и там видео видно. So, yes, more videos of launches of Iranian missiles right now. And yet again, reports that at least 200 US military personnel have been killed and wounded as a result of Iranian retaliatory strikes, according to IRGC. Information needs to be checked, of course. During the war times, there is a fog of war and all sides are making all sorts of claims. So therefore, any information should be taken with a pinch of salt, understandably. Defensive munition shortages to shape attack on Iran, according to Financial Times. Okay. No Italian soldiers wounded in attacks on a base in the Gulf. Head of Italian Foreign Ministry, Tajani, stated that a missile hit airfield in a base where 300 Italian militaries were stationed and no one was harmed. Yet again, what Italian militaries lost in Kuwait? I mean, that's the question I have. We have information, dear friends, right now from Turkey. According to this reporter, Ankara is not not allowing its territory or airspace to be used by any side of this conflict. And Ankara is stating that Turkey will only operate based on its national interests. So I don't know, maybe this is true. Maybe Turkey actually closed its airspace for US and Israeli planes. I have some doubts about it, by the way. I have some doubts about it, but who knows? Who knows? We will find out. We will find out which country participated, which countries participated, and which did not in all this stuff. So right now you can see more videos about Iranian attacks in Bahrain. So this is a developing story, by the way. There is more missiles being launched by all sides, more attacks, and more footage is emerging. Okay, right now what I can do is I will switch to what I do now is, dear friends, I give you update from Russian media. Let's see what Russian media is reporting about this developing story. So let's check for the updates. This page of RIA Novosti. And so, literally a minute ago, RIA Novosti reported that an Israeli government plane has left the country and is circling over the Mediterranean Sea, according to flight radar. Really, what's going on there? Well, death toll among primary school students in southern Iran has risen to 60. 60 girls were killed there by U.S.-Israeli attack. 80 people injured there. Its entire school is in ruins, right? And as emergency services go through area while clearing the building and the rubble, unfortunately, number of killed is increasing and number of injured. Qatar Ministry of Transport has temporarily banned vessels traffic in its waters. Iran's deputy foreign minister said the US must provide guarantees and promise to suspend the war before talking about any political solution to the conflict. Interesting statement. Maybe US. I got impression, by the way, that this first wave of attacks of Iran and US didn't really go as Israelis and Americans were planning. And wouldn't be surprised, really, wouldn't be surprised if Washington will begin, especially under the pressure of Pentagon, if Pentagon will persist that they cannot sustain high level of military pressure for a long time. Maybe Washington will actually send some messages to Tehran to talk again, but yet again, what is the incentive on Iranian side to get engaged in the talks, really? I mean, you tell me. So Iran's deputy foreign minister definitely has a point there. But on the other hand, what kind of guarantees US might provide? You cannot trust anything that Washington says, right? I mean, literally, you cannot trust anything or anybody from US leadership on any topic. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Iran definitely has the opportunity now. Iran's militaries, Iran's political leadership definitely has opportunity now that opened due to this aggression from Israel and the US to basically achieve a strategical victory, right, over their enemies. And that will require from Iran to get engaged in a long-term confrontation if necessary, right? And to continue striking. Basically, they have to obliterate U.S. military presence in a region, and they have to strike Israel as much as possible, right? And if I don't know, man, if I was in charge of Iran's security services, man, I would definitely, for years, I mean, I would know that war is inevitable, right? I knew it anyways. So if I was in charge there, of course, I would know the same stuff. Even more, by the way. And I would definitely send toughest fighters from my special forces into US, right, to bring the war on US soil when US would attack. That's what I would do, man. Not just to guarantee strikes on US assets in the Middle East, but I will bring the war on US soil. And the only way you can do that is if you are sending your best of your fighters into US, right? And you are dispersing them throughout the US. And when time comes, they are gearing up and they're attacking US bases, US military targets. I'm not talking about harming civilians, by the way, never. But take out US military assets, by the way. And you can imagine what, for example, platoon of extremely trained, well-armed, well-equipped special forces units can do to most of the US bases, man, that are barely protected, right? platoon is enough to cause some trauma. It would be a suicidal operation in many cases, yes, right? Not necessarily 100%, but it's obvious that many fighters will not make it out, but they would cause tremendous damage to enemy's morale, right? When you are striking on their soil, that's a whole different level, by the way. And I don't know, man. I'm a bit surprised that until now, despite all these attacks on Iran that happened, we have not seen any military operation of Iranian secret services, special forces on U.S. territory. They have every legit right to engage on U.S. soil against their combatants, right? Against military bases, military assets, anything, right? That is a legit target. So maybe as if this conflict continues, and there is probability that it will, maybe we will see war being transferred on U.S. soil too. Very much possible. U.S. has fallen into Israel's trap, the Iranian Foreign Ministry stated there. Okay. Putin discussed the situation around Iran with the permanent members of the Security Council. I already mentioned this. Iran has launched a new wave of attacks on Israel, the Islamic Republic state television reports. Yet again, this is a picture of residence of Supreme Leader of Iran that was targeted by US and Israel, although Supreme Leader himself was not there, according to reports. By now, by the way, there was no reports about any high-level religious, political, or military leader of Iran being killed, although a few hours ago on one of the sources I saw a report about a number of generals, Iranian generals that were killed, but since then I did not see any more reports on that, so maybe it was just like fake news or something, I don't know. So Turkey expressed its readiness to provide the necessary support as a mediator for the de-escalation in the Middle East. Well, already talks began about de-escalation. Well, maybe US actually realized, maybe Washington actually realized that things are not going their way. Maybe, by the way, all these videos of smoking US military assets throughout the Middle East, I mean, those videos gonna bring to their senses very many Americans, by the way, that believe too much in Hollywood freaking propaganda and think that war is some sort of a game. It's not a game, man. And you can imagine horror in US if Iran will bring this war on US soil, as they should, man. They should. I'm truly going to be surprised if Iran's IRGC or any other, or our militaries or whatever, if they did not work out the plan to bring this war on US soil. I mean, what the hell, man? What are you doing then in that case? Train 200, 300, 500 fighters, best fighters in your armed forces, special forces, right? It will take years, right? Teach them English, right? So that they will infiltrate US easily. Teach them to speak with American accent. Yet again, it might take 5 years to train those people, right? But eventually you will have hundreds of top fighters on enemy soil. And when time is right, you can activate them, right? And I'm telling you, a platoon of highly trained fighters, platoon can deal tremendous damage to most US military bases in US, because they are not built to withstand their assault of platoon, man, of special forces, right? Also, modern warfare techniques, by the way, drones and all that stuff. I mean, tremendous damage could be done to US militaries on US soil if one actually works on the plans, right? It's easily doable, man. It's literally very easily doable stuff when you have resources in your disposal, and the IRGC clearly has those resources, and Iranian militaries and security services, generally speaking. So, maybe they worked out something like that, and we will hear about it in upcoming days. Turkish Foreign Ministry stated that the events that began with the US and Israeli attack on Iran threatened the future of the region and the global stability. Okay, some general statements there. Germany, France, Britain, and United States called on Iran to stop its nuclear program. Are you serious, man? Unbelievable, man. At 16:46, by the way, 10 minutes ago, a news came that Israel has recorded another missile launch from Iran. Explosions rocked the port of Chabahir in southern Iran. So there is constant strikes on each other right now. Yet again, man, this is the Speaker of U.S. House of Representatives said that Trump and his administration had made every effort to resolve the differences diplomatically. Really, and is there in U.S. anybody? I mean, honestly, man, is there anybody in U.S. Who believes this crap? I may not have much high expectations from U.S. educational system. I know it's a garbage, man, and people are leaving school after 10, 12 years of study. How many years are in US in school? Like 10, 11, 12. And many people are leaving school, they don't even know how to read and write, right? The level of basic education and even higher education is just horrible, horrible. They have a good advertising campaigns, right? And people think Columbia University is a great university, and they're, I don't know, man, Cambridge University or whatever. Is Cambridge is in US, isn't it? Yale University and that kind of shit. It's a garbage, man. It's a freaking garbage, right? Yes, US is good, man, in advertising everything, right? They can advertise shit and sell it, man, and they do it actually throughout the world. That's how good they are in advertising. But it does not mean that their products actually are good, right? I think my university, Tbilisi State University, by the way, in every ways is like 15 million times better than any university that US has, right? I might be subjective in that, of course, because I came from Tbilisi State University, but nevertheless, man, I think US educational system is total garbage, but and so many people are actually morons, man, illiterate morons. And those people probably actually believing in this nonsense, because anybody with their two freaking brain cells that are actually working should understand that this Epstein class is always lying to public, always, right? China expressed concern about the US and Israeli military strike on Iran. Okay, but it's not just a concern, by the way. China and I'm quite sure Russia are providing Iran with some necessary stuff. And if my reading of the big picture is correct, and this initial stage of attacks on Iran launched by US and Israel did not went well, or as well as Tel Aviv and Washington was hoping, maybe that's because of assistance that Iran actually received from China, from Russia, from other friends. Maybe. So, UAE did not knew about their operation against Iran in advance, but expected it basis on the result. But expected it based on results of negotiations between Tehran and Washington. CNN reports citing presidential advisor. Speak. Okay. By the way, maybe you are interested. I know everyone is focused on Iran, of course, but last night Russian air defense systems intercepted 97 drones launched by Kyiv regime and their NATO to strike deep into Russia. Also, Russian militaries liberated Gorky settlement in the Zaporozhye region. I can show you this settlement right now. This is Gorky settlement. And yeah, Russian troops are getting closer and closer, by the way, to finalize this pincer operation around Orejo. And just a minute, dear friends. You got аккуратненько. Да, смотрите, то снег тает, падает все, короче, там, осторожно. Yes, sorry guys, members of the family went out for some business, and I have to say bye, and also warn that it's a high temperatures are on rise here, and you know how much snow was in Moscow. In if you have seen my walk and talk videos, then you know. And there is a lot of snows, and because of increasing temperature from roofs of the buildings, snow is coming down, and one have to be very careful, by the way, while this period, while walking uh, around the city, to make sure that some freaking snow avalanche not gonna come down on the head. So yes, that's the Gorka settlement that Russian military liberated. Earlier, of course, I shared information about other settlements that Russian troops liberated. Where is the news, man? I lost it, actually. Yeah, that's it. Earlier, I reported that Russian armed forces liberated their Sopich settlement in the Sumy region and also Belekovka in the Dnipropetrovsk region. So progress of the Russian armed forces on the ground, of course, continues. And now let's go back to updates around the Iran topic. US has planned a series of increasingly powerful strikes on Iran, with a pause in between to assess the consequences, with each round lasting 1-2 days. CNN reports, citing sources, Qatar's air defense forces repelled 4 new missile attacks from Iran. Okay, and now let's switch to Telegram again, dear friends. So let's see what different Telegram channels are reporting, and then, or maybe we should have some exchange of opinions. By the way, what do you think? I will take a little pause again now for 2 minutes, and then let's have exchange of opinions, and then I give you latest update from different Telegram channels. Let me just let me just open the Telegram here. So where is the? Yeah, okay, that's it, right? So I'll be back in a minute, by the way, now, and let's have a community chat and discuss all the topics. Okay, I'm back, and I will check. I mean, I see no cues, by the way. So, I mean, in case you want to discuss any topic, by the way, if you will use this capital Q, then I will react on it. And meanwhile, let's check some Telegram channels for some more updates. The exchange of strikes continues with the Epstein coalition strikes reported in Dehbarez in southern Iran and Zarabad in southern eastern Iran. The Geopolitics reports. U.S. military personnel somewhere on the streets in Bahrain. They are hiding, by the way. Didn't expect, probably, right? To hide, to seek hide like a freaking rats that they are. Yeah, scared fucking animals, man. All they capable of is killing civilians, right? As they did this morning, or and according to latest data, unfortunately, 57 girls were killed, kids, by the way, in that girls' school. And then their number is constantly increasing as emergency services are removing their rubble. Confusion in the media over Trump's planned morning speech. Axios reported that Trump was scheduled to deliver a speech this morning. The White House denied this, while some sources claim the speech was cancelled. Well, probably this Israeli prostitute, Israeli slut, Trump was thinking that after strikes, uh, entire leadership of Iran will be eliminated or something, and probably he was planning to brag about that. But according to reports, all main figures in Iran's leadership survived this initial assassination attempts, initial strikes. So I guess this is the reason why Trump's speech was cancelled. And also, I'm telling you, man, I got feeling that it's too early to make calls, right? But we can express some, carefully express some opinions about this first day of war between U.S., Israel, collective West, and Iran, and definitely, it does not looks like Western coalition and Israel managed to achieve much. Whole world is talking about the killed civilians, killed kids in Iran. That's the headlines throughout the world, right? And there are videos of burning US bases throughout the Middle East. So this is definitely not something that US ruling class, Western ruling class, and Zionists were planning for or hoping for, I guess. Probably they wanted their different headlines, how successful their attacks were, and they eliminated their leadership of Iran, or everybody, and so on. But they did not, at least for now. Reuters, citing sources, claims that Iran's defense minister and commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps allegedly have been killed. Okay. This is Reuters, by the way. This is Reuters reporting. According to Iranian media, none of their figures that was targeted by Israel was actually killed. Yet again, fog of war. Difficult to say what's going on, but yeah, maybe out of 30, 50 primary targets of assassination, several was killed, maybe even dozen of generals or politicians were killed, but leadership of Iran is clearly there, and state institutions are there. And as I said, man, in order to create power vacuum, it's It's not enough to eliminate even the leadership completely. State institutions, as long as state institutions are there, as long as the infrastructure is there and operates, uh, Western Israel not going to be able to create total chaos, power vacuum, and push Iranians towards the civil war. And yet again, dear friends, I will repeat that this is not about regime change. This is a mistake when everything is being called regime change nowadays, right? West seeks no regime change. Western and Israel, they are after creating a civil war, after provoking civil war there. Because regime changing implies that you are replacing one regime, let's say hostile to you, on another one which is a friendly to you, right? That's what regime change is actually. And in regards to Iran, there is no intent on part of West to implement a friendly regime or something. No, they want civil war, and they might use at some point, if they succeed today, tomorrow, day after, in eliminating, let's say, political leadership of Iran, religious leadership, and if they manage to somehow, man, in some areas of Iran, establish control, and then bring in Pahlavi, for example, son of their former Shah of Iran, this move will be done not to create a new regime friendly towards US, but to create more tensions between Persians and Azerbaijanis. Because, yet again, as I already said, during the Pahlavi's regime, Azerbaijanis were oppressed big time. So it's not about regime change, man. It's not about regime change. Zelensky backed US and Israeli strikes on Iran. Of course he did, man. Fascists are supporting fascists, like no surprises whatsoever. US strikes in Kermanshah, Iran, aftermath of the US strikes. So this constant exchange of strikes continues, by the way, as we speak. And that's why this live stream is kind of an emergency one, right? I supposed to have a day off today, man. I was planning for a day off, but then this war, and I decided to launch the live stream and share all the latest information that is available, at least in Russian segment of internet. UK, Germany, and France have condemned Iranian attacks on countries in the region, saying Iran must refrain from indiscriminate military strikes. Oh, these cowards, man, these cowards. Yeah, Iran should not strike back, of course. Just should embrace and applaud their strikes of the enemies and never strike back. What an idiots, man! What an idiots! More this kind of garbage they're gonna say, man. More they're gonna isolate collective Western and Israel from rest of the world. I still feel sorry that India's prime minister went to Israel, man, just a few days ago. Why, man? Why? You don't need to do that kind of shit, man. Why Modi went to Israel? Too bad. Anyways, Iranian Foreign Minister Arakchi is saying that almost all officials are safe and alive. Almost all officials means some officials have been killed, I guess. Abbas Arakchi is also saying, and this is quote, "We are attacking American bases in act of self-defense," which is factually accurate statement. That's exactly what Iran does, right? It's not like Iranians wake up this morning and said, you know what, let's launch missiles towards American bases. It's a good weather, right? So why not? Let's enjoy good weather and launch missiles. It does not work like that. Iran was attacked and Iran is retaliating, and they have every right to do so. And those are Gulf prostitute quasi-states prostitutes of Anglo-Saxons and their Israelis, well, they should never allow bases of Americans and whoever else to exist on their territory if they actually were states. But they are not states, by the way. All this nonsense, garbage, Kuwait, Muwait, Saudi Arabia, UAE, this nonsense, Qatar, and so on. These are artificial entities, by the way, right? Run by prostitutes of their Zionists and their Anglo-Saxons, and everybody knows that. I mean, you may be as politically correct as you like, man. You know, you can call them highness and that kind of shit. But in reality, they are prostitutes of Anglo-Saxons and Zionists, man. That's what they are. So, I mean, call it whatever you want. It would not change essence, right? Substance. Prostitutes are freaking prostitutes. That's it. And all of them are freaking sluts that deserve no respect. And don't give me this nonsense about rights of prostitutes and so on, right? I don't give a damn about their rights, okay? I just don't, man. Sorry. It is what it is, man. Breaking news, IRGC Public Relations announced U.S. combat support vessel MST was heavily struck by missiles from IRGC Navy. Really? Are the U.S. naval assets will also remain within range of IRGC missiles and the drones as the attacks continue, announcement states. And right now you can see that vessel, by the way, that allegedly was struck by Iranians. Okay, I remind you that IRGC is claiming that at least 200 U.S. military personnel was killed and wounded. There's already as a result of hostilities. Iran's foreign minister also said perhaps it was others who dragged the United States into this conflict for their own benefit. Of course, there were others, by the way. U.S. not a state. U.S. is not an independent state. U.S. is a weapon in hands of Zionists, in hands of globalists and globalist allies inside the US that they have, right? Democrats, the democratic establishment, deep state intelligence community that is infiltrated by the globalists and Zionists big time. US is not an independent state. Formally it is, of course, yes, but in reality it's a tool, man, and that's why US officially, people that are in charge there on high-ranking positions, from president to congressmen and senators and so on, all those individuals are puppets, right? Puppets of these shadow forces. Or they are not even that shadow, man. Zionists, I mean, are Zionists in shadow, really? They are running this freaking show, bloody show, by the way, quite openly nowadays. And globalists too, actually, right? So, yes, US was dragged in, but because that's what US always does. US is not an independent state. It's a tool. It's a weapon in hands of others. Always was, always will be, right? Because I don't believe Americans are actually capable of reclaiming their own country. I wish I was wrong in that, and Americans were actually capable of neutralizing this corrupt political system that they have, reforming the country and actually bringing the control of their own country and the destiny into their hands. But are Americans capable of that? Honestly, man. Among our community are many Americans, right? Many citizens of US. So they can write in the chat, man. Are they capable? Oh, honestly, on a scale of the US, to deal with the system, bring down this corrupt system, eliminate these corrupter elements, right? And build actual true republic that will serve the people of America. Are they capable of that? No, man, they are not capable of that. No, because society is too divided. big portion of the American society is just too illiterate, by the way, to freaking understand what the hell is going on, right? I mean, let's be real, man. Vast, I mean, I don't know vast majority or no, but significant portion of Americans probably will struggle to tell you on which coast of America Washington is. That's their level of education. So when you have a ill ill-educated or significant portion of the public being that ill-educated, those people not gonna ask no questions, man. At least not they're not gonna ask right questions because they would not know what right question is, and it is extremely easy to manipulate with these illiterate people, right? And there are these small groups of actual intellectuals, right, that understand what is going on. They're going to be always ignored by these illiterate others because they will never understand what these intellectuals are talking about. They will never, because they are freaking brain dead, actually. It is what it is. As I said, man, true is ugly quite often. Sometimes it's nice, but more often than not, true is painful and ugly, and that's why true tellers are hated throughout the human history. By the way, always, everywhere, because yeah, that's how it is. Also, the speculations continue, by the way, that allegedly Israeli plane on board of which might be Netanyahu continues to circle around the Mediterranean. Okay, maybe it's some sort of procedure in Israel. Whenever there is a war, they are taking out prime minister from territory. I don't know. Or maybe this plane is doing something else, man. Also, you can see right now footage of aftermath of strikes in western Iran. Okay. Israel's opposition leader Yair Lapid says any country that confronts Israel will face consequences, stressing that the Israeli military is powerful and backed by full strength of the U.S. Army and the Navy. Okay, man. Okay, it will be. Day comes when Israel will pay a heavy price, right, for all the crimes that they committed against humanity. Yet again, Abbas Araghchi, foreign minister, stated that almost all officials are safe and they're sound. We may have lost one or two commanders, but that's not the big problem. He said, don't know why US insists on starting talks, then attacks other party in the middle of the talks. Araghchi, especially because this time we made a big progress in first day talks. I mean, is he playing here games? Is he acting stupid, or he is actually, man? What you don't understand, US was never serious about these talks. So they were just gaining some time. That's all, man. That's all. So what are you talking about, Abbas Araghchi? If you actually believe the Americans, then it's your problem. It's not necessarily their problem, because they knew what they were doing from the beginning. They knew they were all about deception and to gain some more time, right? Create this false narrative that some negotiations are taking place while they were deploying as many military assets as they possibly could, right, in and around the Middle East. And at some point, they launched these attacks. Okay, so you should be ready. By the way, if you believe they're Americans, then that's your issue, right? Then you're doing something wrong. You see, by the way, the son of former Shah of Iran uh, is calling now on Iranians to prepare for a last battle against the regime. Oh, fucking hell, man. Okay, okay. Who gives a damn about this creature, man? I'm telling you, if US will bring him into Iran, if US will establish control over some areas in Iran and bring that animal in, it will be done only to create more tensions, possibly to create tensions between Azerbaijanis and the Persians, because yet again, I already said, by the way, that during the rule of Shah in Iran, and Shah was implemented by Shah regime was implemented by US after coup d'etat against organizing coup d'etat against Mossadegh, right? And so that Shah regime was suppressing Azerbaijanis big time. Okay. China demands the US and Israel immediately stop military operations against Iran. Chinese Foreign Ministry, okay. Both Moscow and Beijing are quite strong in the statements, and even though barely any chance that either Israel or the US will listen, both capitals, Moscow and Beijing, can provide Iran with their assistance that will ensure a long-term safety and stability of the Iran and the Middle East. I said many times before, by the way, in no circumstances, either Moscow or Beijing can afford the Western ruling class and their allies, Zionists and others, to succeed in their attempt to destabilize Iran, descend it into chaos and madness and civil war, and to do the same throughout the region. We cannot afford this to happen, so therefore we should do whatever is necessary to make sure that the region, in generally speaking, gonna stay more or less stable, and navigation in the Persian Gulf and through Hormuz Strait are gonna stay open. That's very important because we don't want China to be cut off from Middle East energy sources, because it's too freaking dangerous. Because Chinese will have no option but to rely on our energy too much, right? And there is whenever there is any critical dependence of one party or another, there is always risks, by the way, and we need to avoid these risks, right? Whatever the Western plans are, we have to counter them, and we have to minimize the risks ourselves. That's it. Arachi also said that as far as he knows, Supreme Leader Khamenei and President Pezeshkian are alive. I will open the video. So you hear now sound bite of a fragment of the interview that Abbas Araghchi is giving to NBC. So he is definitely alive, right? And yes, he's saying that many others are too. Qatari Defense Ministry spokesperson told Al Jazeera that an Iranian strike damaged the radar facility in the north of their country. No casualties were reported, and the authorities are assessing their material damage. Earlier, the RGC said it had targeted the US ANFS FPS 132 early warning radar system deployed in Qatar. And I showed you a video, by the way, of that strike on the radar, right? Earlier during this stream. Abbas Arakchi is also saying, for the time being, we don't need anybody for our defense. We are capable enough to defend ourselves, and we will do that. Yeah, for time being, yes, for sure. But of course, Russia and China should, and most likely will provide all the necessary assistance. Because yet again, we have to make sure that Iran gonna withstand this attack, and Middle East gonna stay, in general terms, stable, and their navigation in the Persian Gulf and Hormuz Strait gonna stay open. It's in the best interests of Russia and China, and I guess we will do whatever is necessary. Russia and China have requested an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council over their situation surrounding Iran, according to Russia's permanent mission to the United Nations. Press service of IDF allegedly stated that Israeli army finalized their large-scale operation to destroy strategical defensive systems of Iran. They finalized the operation, really? Are they backing down, by the way? I mean, don't you have an impression that this assault on Iran went so badly for Israel and the US that they are kind of already seeking the end of this military phase, because longer this conflict continues, more obvious it will become that they have lost. Don't you think? Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi also stated in that interview with NBC that is airing right now, I guess, right? That's why these small snippets being published on different Telegram channels. So Abbas Araghchi stated that regime change is a mission impossible. You cannot do regime change while millions of people are supporting the so-called regime. And yet again, this is not about regime change, man. Everyone should understand. This is not about replacing current regime that is not controlled or not fully controlled by US. It's not about replacing this regime by other regime, which will be taking orders from the US and the Israel. It's not about that. Western ruling class wants full-scale destabilization of Iran, full-scale destabilization of the Middle East, including wars on ethnic and sectarian lines, wars between the neighboring countries. And they want this in order to shut down navigation in the Persian Gulf and through Hormuz Strait. And anything less than that will be strategical defeat of their Western elites. They know this. I know this. Everyone who is interested with matter knows this. And therefore, all these talks about regime change, man, is freaking nonsense, right? It's not about regime change. They want to cut off China from Middle Eastern energy sources, right? And if they replace current regime by Pahlavi or whomever, what that will achieve for the Western elites? China will continue to buy most of their oil from Saudi Arabia, right? Some people think Iran is the main supplier of oil to China. No, man. Iran is not really that big of a player right now, because of all the sanctions and so on, right? But nevertheless, Saudi Arabia is the biggest supplier of oil to China from the region. And if current regime in Iran is replaced by other regime, what that will, what achievement that will be for Western ruling class? Nothing. It's nothing burger, because then China will be able to get its hands on even more oil, right? Because if U.S. and West has a friendly regime in Tehran, I mean, they're not gonna, what they gonna do, man? Ban oil sales from Iran or what? You know. So it's not about regime change, man. Something different is happening, and I already explained million times that American government run broadcasting agency is a world way of way to say CIA. What? US-backed broadcasting agency says it's transmitting Trump's message into Iran. Okay, this might be a good thing since no one can stand 8 minutes of their Trump's talking. Information from the Geopolitics, by the way, there. And they are also, I mean, DD Geopolitics, it's a big channel on Telegram, by the way, 172,000 subscribers, right? It's an English language channel. And they are not messing around too, by the way, and they are quite direct when it comes to the Zionists and the Epstein class and the Western ruling elites, generally speaking. They are quite direct, as everybody should be, man. Unless you name the name of your enemy, until you acknowledge what and who your enemy is, you're not going to be able to uh, fully fully battle. You're not going to be fully battle capable. So everyone should say openly, by the way, that Western elites, these generational genocidal families and the clans that are in charge of the Western world, and their assets and their allies, including Zionists, are existential threat for humanity. Once we all will acknowledge this, then all of humanity, brother, then maybe we will do something about it. But until, if you didn't acknowledging existence of their issue, then how are you going to deal with that issue, right? IDF completed a broad strike on Iran's strategic defense systems. As I said, that's the claim that IDF is making. What that means, there are going to be no more strikes. It was a one-day war this time around, or something else is going on. I don't know. I don't have an answer on that yet. Abbas Arakchi also stated during the interview with NBC that there is no communication right now, but if the Americans want to talk to us, they know how they can contact me. Okay, man, this is just, I mean, really too much, man. You still want to talk to them? You can humiliate them, man, big time. What are you saying? You should go ahead and say, you know what, until there is there will be adequate, decent human beings in the leadership of US, we have nothing to talk to them about. That's it, man. If you want a war, let's, bring it in, man. We will kill you as many of your militaries as we possibly can, right? And that's it. You want to fight, let's fight. But I'm not going to talk to you because you are disgusting creature, disgusting animal. That's what Basarach should say to Trump, man, and all the US leadership. Period. I mean, this so-called games, man, or so-called diplomatic games is really sickening time to time, man, right? Okay, you are diplomat, and you cannot shut the door to diplomacy, but come on, man, be a little bit more. Uh, okay. For now, dear friends, that's about it, I guess, right? I share there plenty of news, everything basically that is known for now. I said I shared. Let's remove this one and let's check. By the way, let's check RIA Novosti's coverage of this war once again, and that's about it, right? Uh, I think I provided quite coverage, by the way, for all this stuff. Media reported the interception of Iranian missile in Syria. Okay, missiles are still flying. So I already mentioned that Russia and China have requested an urgent meeting of the UN Security Council, the retro-aggression against Iran. Iranian city of Shiraz was attacked from the air. Report is from 1739, right? Just a few minutes ago. The supreme leader and the president of Iran are alive, according to Abbas Araghchi's statements. Almost their entire Iranian leadership survived. I already spoke about this stuff. Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova responded to situation now. What? Now imagine that there was a NATO base in Azov Sea. Yeah. Around 70 people killed and more than 90 were injured in southern Iran, according to media reports. Casualty number, and up to 70 kids, by the way, were killed by US and Israeli so-called militaries when they targeted their girls' school. Yet another war crime committed by those two, US and Israel. There are no casualties among Russians in Iran. A representative of their Ministry of Economic Development reported their Iranian foreign minister admitted that several commanders were lost during their airstrikes. US has planned a series of increasingly powerful strikes on Iran with their pauses in between to assess their consequences. Okay, I report about it. So I guess initial phase of military hostilities has been finalized, kind of, right? And so yes, dear friends, news is constantly coming, but this live stream is already I'm almost 3 hours, by the way, and I share there most of the relevant news that I see in the Russian segment of internet. Hopefully, you find my work to be okay, at least okay, right? And of course, I will continue monitoring the developments. And tomorrow we're gonna have a big community chat, isn't it? And I will share additional information during that live stream. Once again, before I go, dear friends, let me apologize for excessive use of French language, right? But I'm a human being too, by the way. I have emotions, and I'm a Southerner, and we are known to be very emotional people and Southerners, right? This is case throughout the world, I guess. Southerners are, for whatever reason, more emotional than Northerners. So yes, my apologies for excessive use of French language, but man, I hate nobody, right? Uh, I dislike Western elites and their allies because they are criminals. That's how it is, man. And sometimes I'm using just extremely strong language to demonstrate that. But generally speaking, uh, I wish no harm. First and foremost, I wish no harm to ordinary people. By the way, that's all I want to say. So I'm monitoring, by the way. There is a good discussion among members of our community. Hopefully, all the discussions were friendly and respectful, because that's the way our community operates. And I really don't see no capital cues, by the way, to respond to. So, therefore, if I may, I will end this live stream now. Have a wonderful day and see you tomorrow. Bye.